Hello student, I am Dr. P.G. Chauhan, Assistant Professor, Sri Shivaji Law College, Parbhani. Today we will discuss on the topic consent. So what does the consent means? Consent means consensus ad adam. It means identity of mind or meeting of mind. Now I will quote here the example. Suppose if a person who is the owner of different 5 cars and he want to sell his Maruti car. So he made a proposal in front of B that he want to sell his car, and his friend, he too want to purchase a car, and he think that his friend is selling a Honda car, but actually his friend want to sell a Maruti car. So there is no meeting of mind between these two persons. So the party should think for consensus ad adam. It means that they must think about the same thing in a same sense at the same time. From above example, there is no meeting of mind. Now we will see the definition given under Section 13 of Indian Contract Act 1872. The two or more persons, when they agree upon the same thing in a same sense, is called the consent. Now what do you mean by free consent? So the free consent is defined under Section 14. So it means that the consent which is not caused by coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation or mistake. So that is called as the free consent. Suppose if it is caused by one of this coercion or undue influence, then that contract will be called as voidable contract. So that voidable contract, it is enforceable at the option of one or more of the parties, but not at the option of other or others. Now wherever there is no free consent, so no contract is formed. Error in causa, it means that there is no consent at all. When there is no consent at all, the agreement is void. But if there is error in consensus, so there is no free consent, and that contract may be called as voidable contract. Now we will see Section 15. Section 15 defined the coercion. Coercion is the committing or threatening to commit any act forbidden by IPC, or the unlawful detaining or threatening to detain any property to the prejudice of any person whatsoever, with the intention of causing any person to enter into an agreement. So that is called as the coercion. Now we will see the essentials of coercion. The first one is committing or threatening to commit any act which is forbidden by the Indian Penal Code. For example, if A threatened to shoot B if B does not agree to sell his property to A at a stated price. Suppose due to the fear of a gun, if he sign over the agreement, then that agreement is without a free consent, so it is called as the coercion. Second essential is unlawful detaining or threatening to detain any property. For coercion, it is not necessary that IPC should be applicable at the place where the consent has been caused. The explanation which is given under Section 15 make it clear that to constitute a coercion, there must be the application of IPC, but sometimes it is immaterial whether the IPC is or is not force in the place where the coercion is applied. Now I will quote you here the example. A, on a board an English ship on the high sea, causes B to enter into an agreement by an act amounting to criminal intimidation under the IPC. A afterwards sue B for the breach of contract at Calcutta. A has employed a coercion. Although his act is not an offence by the law of England, and although section 506 of IPC was not in force at the time when or at the place where the act was done. So this is the best example where it mentioned that the coercion is committed even on the ship. Next case law we will discuss here, that is Ranganayaka Amma versus Alvar Sethi. There was a death of Ranganayaka Amma's husband, and the relatives and other friends, so they force Ranganayaka Amma to adopt a child, and they said her that dead body will not be removed for the cremation if she will not adopt the boy. So whatever the adoption was made, so it was a coercion, and this was declared by the Madras High Court because they had threatened the dead body will not be allowed for the cremation, and due to this threat she adopted the boy. So the adoption was declared as a void. Next case law, Chikkam Amir Raju versus Chikkam Seshama. Even in this case law, Madras High Court has given the decision. The coercion was caused by the threat to commit suicide. A Hindu, by threat of suicide, induced his wife and son to execute a release deed in favor of his brother in respect of certain property. Here it was decided that threat to commit suicide amount to coercion within the meaning of section 15 of Indian Contract Act, and therefore release deed was voidable. As suicide punishment is not mentioned in the IPC, but the person who attempt to commit suicide is punishable under section 309. Due to the fear of a suicide of her husband, so the wife and the son, they sign over the document, and then the court has declared that it was a coercion, so it is not a valid but it is a voidable one. So we can take some example for obtaining the consent on the point of pistol, by threatening to cause a hurt, by threatening to burn a man's house, or slashing his valuable pictures. So it amounts to be a coercion, and if any person who sign on this base, so that contract will be declared as a voidable one. Criminal prosecution. Due to this, the consent is taken as if you will not sign document, and he will file a suit against you. Due to this fear anybody sign, it does not mean that it is obtained by the coercion, because this is not forbidden under IPC. But the act which is forbidden under the IPC, that is, if anybody says that I will make you a false charges against you, so that may amount. Unlawful detaining of property. So the coercion should also be caused by unlawful detaining, threatening to detain any property to the prejudice of any person. So that is called as the coercion. Here I will quote you the example that plaintiff had pledged his plate with a defendant for $20. When he went to redeem the pledge, instead the pledgee he asked to pay a more $10 as an interest. That time plaintiff paid it but sued afterward. So the court ordered the pledgee to return the $10, whatever the extra amount he has taken, because it was the coercion. Threat to strike is no coercion, because strike is a weapon in the hand of employees. So it doesn't amount to be an coercion. Here there is a case law, worker of Epine Lee Estate versus Industrial Tribunal. Demand of the worker could be backed by the threat of strike. Demand for worker for bonus was accepted after the threat of strike. Decision between union of worker and their a could be declared void on the ground of coercion. So here it is said that no, because strike doesn't come, it is not forbidden under the IPC. As I told you in the beginning, that strike is a weapon in the hand of employee, but that should be go by legal way. If it is illegal one, then it amounts to be the coercion. Statutory compulsion is no coercion. Andhra Sugar versus State of Andhra Pradesh. Sugarcane grower, after to sell the sugarcane to the factory in a certain zone. So it doesn't amount to the coercion, because factory was bound to accept the offer under the Andhra Pradesh Sugarcane Regulation of Supply Act 1961, and they had compelled to sell the sugarcane in the particular zone. So the legal compulsion doesn't come under the coercion. Now there is a difference between coercion and duress. Duress, it is applicable in England, and coercion is applicable in India. So the difference is, the any act which is forbidden under the IPC, that amounts to be coercion, but any act which comes under the common law, it amounts to be duress. Coercion act directly against the person or his property, and duress, it is not against the property. Coercion proceeds from person who is not a party to the contract and may be directed against the person who may be a stranger to the contract. But in duress, proceed from party to the contract and directed to the party to the contract himself or his wife, parent or relatives. Duress under English law, it says that actual violence or threat of violence to a person only includes fear of loss to life or bodily harm, but not threat to damage to the goods or property. Duress must be directed against a party to the contract or his wife, child or parent or any other near relatives. Indian law is different from English law, as we had seen in previous slide. India, in case of coercion, not only the contract is voidable under section 19, but if someone has been paid or goods delivered by a party to the contract under the coercion, same it is voidable under section 72. A person to whom money has been paid or anything delivered by mistaken, so that too amounts to the coercion, and then it may be compelled to repay or return it. Thank you.